Okay, so nobody gets out of here alive, and nobody has a warranty. Your warranty expires the day you come out of the womb. There's pretty much it's all over.
I'm pretty sure your warranty expires at conception.
Well, that may be, but there's all this pre-production that has to happen and everything else. Parts have to be made out of
There are all
amino
kinds of
acids, that
factory
kind of shit.
accidents. You could get a lemon. You could be the lemon child. You could be a lemon coming straight out of the factory.
What's that old saying? The best part of your daddy went down your mama's leg.
If that's what happened, he's doing it wrong.
I don't think you got. Never mind. It's hopeless. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley.
I
Joining me
really should have
today,
announced something on Facebook.
you
Oh,
probably should have, is Terry Sweaty Mixon. How the hell are you, Mr. Mixon? And why are you derelict in all of your duties today?
because I took a shower. That's what I'll blame everything on.
Okay, so you heard it here first, for folks. Dirty Terry gets work done.
That's true.
Clean Terry lollygags because he's too pretty for everybody. Way too pretty for everybody. Oh God, don't even. Just don't
What?
even.
No primping.
First of all, it doesn't help. Second of all, it looks desperate. Third of all, you just don't pull it off well at all.
Ooh, tough crowd.
Look, as much shit as I get on this podcast from you, I don't even want to hear it.
Oh, you see me smiling? I'm not hurt by it. That's a tough crowd joke. I like it.
Oh my God. So what the hell are you up to besides typing loud enough to smash the mic in and hurt my delicate ears?
There we go. Facebook has been notified.
Veronica says, listening while I drive, don't make me crash on the turnpike. I guess before we get to Terry, we should get to Veronica. Hi,
Oh, by the
Veronica.
way, Veronica's not here today.
Veronica, how you doing? Why don't you tell us all about your life in text as you drive to the Panthers game that takes place later on today? She decided to ditch us in lieu instead of being here with us. She is going to watch an NHL Stanley Cup
I
final
think
game.
she's made the right choice.
It's the Florida Panthers. I wouldn't get excited. It's not like it's a real hockey team.
Even the Florida Panthers are better than us.
We have a hockey team.
No, I meant the two of us.
Oh well, duh. I mean, look, I couldn't skate when I. Well, okay. All right. I'll just let this go. I used to live in Canada. I lived in Canada for 4 years. When I was six, I learned how to skate. Learn being in quotations. So basically, without any prompting, and these kids had already been on the skates since 4, right? So they're moving around and practically fucking ice dancing and shit. And here I am. I look like the foal that came out of the womb missing 2 legs. So I basically try to stand on these skates. It's a disaster. So finally, I learned how to go quick. It's a stocky guy, had a lot of strength in my legs even at 6, but I couldn't figure out how to stop, and nobody taught me how to stop. Nobody even tried to teach me how to stop. So when I played hockey, my version of hockey was there's Paul, and then there's the rest of everything he can smash and bump into. So I was renowned for accidentally hitting refs, the goalposts, the players, the coaches, you name it, and that was my hockey experience. I did that for one quote unquote season. It was bad. It was really bad. Anyway, so yeah,
So
I
you
think
were
Panthers.
going to explain why V isn't with us today. Other than that, you had some thoughts that you hadn't shared with me yet. So I'm interested to hear them.
Now I can't remember what they were.
Oh man!
Can't remember what they were.
And
I
since
think
you
I
didn't
already
tell
did.
me, I can't help to remind you either.
I think I already did it. I said what I needed to say. She's going
Well,
down there to watch a subpar hockey team.
you thought that was better than what I was going to say.
What were you
How
going to
could you
say?
think that was better than what I was going to say? That she was perfectly fine with being here. Then she heard we were doing pitch deck and the NC-17 deck for the after show, and suddenly she's got hockey to go to. I was like, oh, that's how it is. And you
Uh,
think your idea is better
uh,
than mine?
uh.
Oh man,
I think mine might be closer to the truth, though.
yours is close to the truth, but it's not nearly as entertaining.
Hmm, I don't know. But okay, considering all the stuff that Veronica has read, I seriously doubt she would blush at any bullshit that we could come up with,
Well, I know she
much
would.
less
You
the
know,
NC-17 deck.
obviously I am joking. So
But next week, God damn it, we're going to have the pitch deck.
what could possibly go wrong?
Everything, and then for the patrons, we'll have the NC-17. So, yeah, just keep that in mind for next week, in case you were thinking about showing up and causing mayhem. if you haven't participated in one of our pitch deck episodes, it is lunacy. We choose
And there
cards.
is audience participation.
Oh yeah, it's required. So it's very interactive. We will not be doing that today, though. We have other things to talk about, supposedly. One is coffee, but we know how V is doing. What are you doing, Terry? What have you been up to?
I have been moving cat furniture upstairs, and that's, for a 60-year-old guy, that's pretty hard when most of these boxes are like 60 pounds.
Yeah, I don't recommend that, especially after having shoulder surgery and all that kind of crap.
I had a dolly, so it wasn't awful, but it was definitely a workout.
Yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. But that's over with. You don't have to do any more of that bullshit.
Nope. Now I am totally free to mock J.R. Handley.
I didn't know you needed license to mock J.R. Handley.
Well, it's no fun mocking him if he's not here, but since he just posted, I can go ahead and mock him.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, now the mocking can start in earnest. We haven't seen him in a while. Well, that's not true. He should have last time. He was just late. Late.
He just can't tell time.
I had a quip for that, but I'm just going to let that go. Man, you were like you were just the cat magnet today.
Yep. They've been locked up while I was doing all the moving, so they are now wanting their reassurance.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Well, apart from that, what else you been up to?
I started writing on the new book, made decent progress on that, but I'm only 3 chapters in, so I still got a little bit more to... It's always hardest for me when I start writing a new book, getting each initial point of view character settled so that the trajectory of the story is on course. Writing after that becomes much easier.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. You wonder why I throw shit away. It's more than half the time. It's because it's me figuring out what the fuck is going on with this character. It's basically letting them babble until they take shape in my head. And some of those things need to be culled or massively changed because they weren't quite necessarily on that trajectory, as you call it. So yeah, this is the smile of understanding and recognition. So I'm glad you're doing that. Is that it?
That's pretty much what I've been up to.
What a loser. Of course, you've been productive. I, on the other hand, have not been productive. Oh, that's not true. We had a very fun week at work.
And by fun, you meant crazy.
I had a very fun week at work. It's one of the most satisfying weeks of work I've had in years. And that was kind of a big deal. I can't explain how big of a deal that was. I really can't. But so I finally got to some writing last night and finished the chapter that's been killing me. And it was really funny. I've been stuck. And then I saw a video. Did I talk about this last week? I don't think I did. I saw a video on my, I've been moving around stuff, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I saw a video that I had downloaded for a possible idea for a trailer for an ancient trap. That was either an alien or a cat. I don't know which.
Could be both.
Could be both. So I saw it and I played it because I didn't know which one it was. And then suddenly the scene that's been hanging me up clicked in my mind the moment I saw what was on there, which was just basically a bunch of asteroids or meteor. It's an asteroid field. And there's a ship moving through it. And it just struck exactly what I needed to see at that moment to finish that scene. And so I basically ran off and finished it. It was cool. And then the next scene opened up in my head. So maybe I'll get back to that tonight, but I've been a little busy because Thursday night I got a new machine was delivered to my house, and it's sitting here. It's now powering everything, and it currently has 4 times as much drive space as I had before, which is wonderful because I was been running out of it for months. And then on top of that, I have a NAS showing up on Tuesday, which is going to allow me to back up all of my shit, shadow publications and DRS on mirrored drives. So I can basically, once I get everything put away, I can throw one of them in a safety deposit box, slash a new one in, and then we move on. Finally, taking care of all the tech stuff that is been hanging me up for a while. So I'm back at work on that. In case you hadn't noticed, my voice isn't in the best shape, so I haven't been recording. The air quality here has just been absolute shit for the last like week and a half. No idea why.
You think it's Canada burning?
Well, it started before Canada burned, but then I think I was hoping the rain would drive it away, and then it just kept being there. So I don't know. Regardless, you're going to hear me coughing a lot. Oh, wait a minute. What? Dean says it's not looking good for Simon and Schuster. Are either going to be sold by end of year or shut down? Where the hell did you read that?
Well, I'm not going to say where he read that because I haven't read that, but I'm not surprised to hear the news after the merger with Randy Penguin fell through.
Yeah, remember I asked what was going to happen.
Since they can't merge, now they're going to be sold for bottom dollar.
And more chaos will ensue.
Soon we will have the big one.
Yeah.
So what happens if Amazon buys Simon and Schuster?
I would hope the feds get off their ass and basically say, nope. Fuck you, nope.
You could argue that Amazon doesn't have any other publishing arm than its in-house.
They
whatever
did that
you call
already,
it.
and it was a massive failure, and they pulled it.
Yeah, well, they're doing Kindle Vella, and it's a massive failure. So I don't think massive failure necessarily stops.
Okay, Kindle Vella is still an experiment. The other thing they absolutely killed, like shut it off, like destroyed it, because I was looking at that. I was trying to get on with 53 or whatever it was called. But it was just like, oh, we're not taking anybody anymore. And then suddenly it just like disappeared and you never heard about it again. And there were some authors I knew that were picked up in that.
Jeff Bezos got out just in time. The whole thing went to crap right after he left.
You know, it must be nice to live in the reality that you live in.
It's true.
It was all shit before he left, trust me.
Well, it was much less shit than it is right now. Can you say that Amazon 3 years ago was worse for authors than it is right now?
No, but then again, it hasn't hurt me in that way because I wasn't making any goddamn money anyway. No, Amazon sucks. Amazon sucks. Audible sucks. They all suck. They're terrible. They're awful.
Let the suckage continue.
They don't give a flying fuck if we make money or not, or what we do.
They think we're widgets.
We are widgets. We're widgets on an assembly line. Ask what they think of their coders. Anyway, we got off on talking about dumpster fires.
So, Dean, what do you have a link for that? You know, you got anything we can go look for about Simon and Schuster maybe being sold by the end of the year or shut down? I definitely want to read more about that.
Their stock just take a shit. Yeah, JR, I'm with you, bro. It says Canada burning has hurt my lungs too, making my daily steps painful.
You know that maple smoke is much worse than the regular smoke.
I have a walking pad, which is a foldable treadmill kind of thing that works for standing desks. And it's lovely and wonderful, and I love it. And I'm walking like 1.5 to 3 miles every day on it. But the moment I step outside and start breathing, I start coughing. But I can do it inside the house, no problem.
And Dean, you'll have to post the link in the live Discord channel because it won't let you post links in the chat.
42
Sorry.
North. 42 North. That's what it was called. Or something like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. What happened to it? What happened to them?
I think they still exist.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, God, what's his name? James Robinson? Is that his name? He writes action adventure thrillers, kind of like Scott Sigler does, but they're more on the actiony side. And I can't remember his name
I
now.
don't know his name.
Shit, read a couple of his books. Anyway, I know he signed with them. I have no idea. We'd have to go looking for that. One of y'all can go find some links and then tell us. We're not here to do your research for you today. Not really sure what we're here today to talk about.
We're here to talk about revision.
What the fuck is revision?
Isn't that a great question?
Is that where you word things to fix?
Well, for me, what is revision may be different than what is revision for you. It's where you take the hot mess that is your first draft and start turning it into something that is either more concise or more verbose and more publishable.
I take issue with your statement.
You always take issue with my statements.
Yes.
Which particular part do you take issue with?
The fact you would say that my first draft would be a hot mess. My first drafts are pristine.
Mm-hmm.
I never have to go back and change a goddamned thing because I edit as I go. I don't even read the whole book afterward. I just basically shove it together, put it in an ebook, and send it out.
He's lying.
That's what I do.
He's a liar.
It takes me a month to do that, and then I pretend it takes. Oh, it's so hard to write a book. It takes like 3 months. Oh my god.
And by the way, when I say revision, I do not mean rewriting. I do not recommend rewriting.
Pristine, flames it all. Yeah. Ahem. Mm-hmm. Well, we can have the rewriting argument some other time. But as far as revision goes, yeah. What is revision to you?
To me, once I finish writing the first draft, because I do it with Dragon Naturally Speaking, it's got a fair chunk of errors in it. And I'm a wordy bastard when I talk. So there are places where it could be made a little bit more concise than what I've actually said. So the first thing I do once I've finished writing that book is I go back
out the 40,000.
No, there's no uhs in there. That is not what happens with mine.
That's not what happened with mine. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
But in any case, I'll go back and I'll read the book, and I will tighten up the parts that need to be tightened up, expand the exposition where it needs to be expanded, and remove as many of the dragon artifacts as I can find. Mm-hmm. And then I'll bring up Grammarly and run it and see what it suggests. Most of the advice I don't pay attention to because it's not applicable to what I want to do. But sometimes it'll suggest changing things like and then to which, or other things like that. Removing excessive that's.
And then? Don't you want thens?
Well,
there's nothing better than a string of thens. I mean, it's very programmer to have if, then,
maybe so. If you were writing, the murder mysteries set in Programmingville, maybe that would be the if-then murders.
Oh, that would sell. Haas, that would sell. We could actually do that. We could actually do that. Or the async murders. That's definitely something that would happen in JavaScript Python land. Oh, that would be beautiful. Pardon us while we nerd out for a second.
But that's what my revision is, making that single pass and doing all of those things to tighten it down. Then it goes to a real editor and they make suggestions.
Okay, so you're not taking the human out.
No, actually, I'm adding the human in where I don't think a character sounds enough like themselves, or I believe that the word choice is wrong for what that character is doing.
Can you give me an example?
Maybe I've got a guy that's a Marine, and what I've said doesn't sound ground poundery enough.
You mean he said something with that enough, Bob? If I have one of my meatheads use the word astute, that would be wrong. That would be me talking, or somebody else who's not me, somebody else who doesn't exist. Astute is not a word I would associate with a ground pounder.
If your Marine sounds like Alfred Pennyworth, you have made a mistake.
Unless that is the character. all the way through. It has to be consistent, and it can't break.
But there is word choice you can do to make dialogue and what's going on sound more like the person.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm doing the first draft, there are tweaks that I can make that are more appropriate per character. And that's one of the things that I do in that reading pass.
I think it would work. It's on the TV, so anyone can pick it up. Doesn't mean they use it right. Antoine says astute equal meat. There's another trick to that, though, with the ground pounders. You may have one that doesn't curse, really. And the fun thing is, the moment where they actually do let it go, let it rip, it will leave everybody, including the reader, going. It's just that there's a way to do that. But anyway, regardless, you're saying
that's the other thing I have to do is go through there and change all the words of duck to fuck. No, I don't actually have to do that, but it is funny.
Apple actually announced on their WWDC that one of the new features was you could turn off ducking.
That is like the stupidest thing that they could have ever done in the first place. We're just going to help people by changing it to duck.
No. Unless, think of the poor ornithologists. You just fucked them over completely by making something.
Wait,
this is bad programming. Did
you just say they ducked them over?
There we go.
Oh. So for you, what does revision look like?
Most of the time I will go back and I will take a look at least portion of the chapter that I've been doing. Not always, though. Chair says, I once had Dragon change medical nanites to milking Mennonites, which gives new meaning to the term. Holy cow. I love it. It's usually, I will wait. My biggest revision comes when I'm narrating. But I will go through and I'll read and I will find stuff that's glaringly obvious, or I will go back as I'm reading through the book and I will make changes here and there. And as I'm reading through the book, I may go back and I may toss some chapters that I know are superfluous to tighten up the pacing, or I may find a portion where I need to add a chapter and then I put that. This is all part of the revision process.
That's a lot of work.
It is. But it makes for a better story in my head because I've gotten rid of the stuff that's in the way as much as possible.
One of the differences between you and me, and I'm not saying my way is better than yours, is that I don't tend to throw away big chunks of stuff. I'm not sure why, but I don't seem to run into having to wholesale chop out scenes and do scenes. Maybe it's because I write linearly and do my editing linearly to change the minor tweaks that I need to make going through, but I never have to cut big old wonkin' chunks out of it.
It just takes me longer to realize I've gone down a wrong turn. I've had this discussion before. It's just I make a wrong turn and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've made this turn I didn't see, and I keep going to go stop and go, this is not the story I want to tell.
One of the things that I've discovered that I do is I leave hooks for myself as I'm writing, and I have no idea where those hooks are going to actually go. Like, for example, the book that I'm currently writing, I have one of the characters looking for something that Patrick the Assassin might have left behind. And I made it up on the spot. I was like, yeah, he's going to leave something else behind. Okay, they find this thing that they're going to go through this door and find this other thing that Patrick the Assassin has left. I just wrote that chapter yesterday. And I have absolutely no idea what's on the other side of that door. Not a single clue what's on the other side of that door. It's obviously going to be something big enough to change the shape of what's going on for the story going forward. But I do that a fair bit, as I'll decide that I'm just going to throw in a wild card, and then there I go.
And I will do that too. But the thing is, that's a point where it's a wild card I know I'm throwing. And, it's difficult to explain. There is no rule. I was thinking about this the other day. I know you have these moments. I think every writer does. There's an epiphany. There's a point where the yellow brick road opens up, and it's suddenly everything is paved, and you have like a moment of illumination where you just strike, and it's you can see it. You can see all of it, all the way down. And then while you're doing that, even while you're going down that golden road, that another epiphany will strike, and it says, by the way, there's a better road over here. And then I will follow that road. And sometimes these things happen. With an ancient trap, I didn't know that was going to go where it went. I didn't plan for it to be that way. Um, I didn't intend it to be that way when I sat down to write it. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, where I was going. I follow my nose, like you want to say. I'm very happy with where it ended up. But when I'm going back and editing it, I may cut out probably. God, I don't want to cut out anything, but I'll probably cut 2 to 5,000 words to kind of make the beginning a little bit faster.
So you do your cutting while you're actually writing it. You actually do the
Mm-mm.
cycling where you go back and you're editing as you go.
In this particular case, no. In this particular case, this book has been an arc already.
Okay.
I did not cut anything from
Well,
it
I
before it
was
went
actually
together.
speaking more of generally.
Generally, yeah, I will go through the book and then I will come back and I will excise. I don't normally excise while I'm cycling.
How many words do you think you lose out of X? I mean, if you wrote a 90,000 word novel, that's what it ended up, 90,000 words. How many words got junked?
Uh, 6 to 20 k.
6 wouldn't be bad. 20? That's
Six to
that's a
twenty
fair
k.
chunk.
Yeah,
I've
it depends on the
discovered
book.
with my editing, going through the book, that I will lose around 10% of the words. So 100,000 words, I'm going to lose 10,000 words,
Yeah,
roughly.
yeah.
And that's without cutting a big chunk of anything. A word here, a word there, a paragraph here,
Up.
it adds up.
It adds up fast. So, how many chapters do I cut out of a normal book is a different question. How many scenes do I cut from a book? Those are different questions. Probably 5 to 12. Probably 5 to 12. But then the question is, how many do I add? And that's probably 6 to 13, depending on the book. Because I find these holes where, hey, I said something cool was going to happen there and did nothing. Or I came across a chapter that said pew pew.
Surprise! Chirp, chirp, chirp,
Oh,
chirp.
fuck. This needs to be about 3 to 5,000 words. So do I cut the hook or do I ignore the hook? What do I do here? And you have to make that decision. JR asks, do you think that you cut large chunks because you don't outline so the story gets away from you? Yes and no. I think the story gets away from me even if I've got it outlined because inevitably where I think I'm going is not where I end up. I think that's one of the cool things. It's like going on vacation. You know what you're gonna do. You know what you think your destination is, but that's not really your destination. Your destination is everywhere you go after you get there. JR says, I guess I'm weird. Every time I edit, my story grows. I tend to edit and add in 20,000 words.
It's
I
nothing
know
nothing strange about that.
I know people who write an entire first draft for a 120,000 word novel that is only 20,000 words. That's their first draft because all they're doing is they're removing all of the crap. The crap. The crap is what gives life to the characters. The crap is what gives life to everything. What they've got is a bare bones story, and then they go back and they give it flesh. They give it life. They breathe all the life into it, and then it ends up being a 110, 120,000 word story. But guess what? They figured out where they were going from beginning to end.
Once you figure out what your process is, whatever that process is, if it works for you, it's not weird. It's your process.
Mm-hmm. It's your process. It's only weird to the rest of us. You strange sicko freak.
Now, the fact that you're doing your editing while dressed in a chicken costume, that may be a little odd.
I would say if that person doing that is on OnlyFans, they're striking fucking gold. I bet furry editing is a big deal. I bet it also features prominently on TikTok. And if it doesn't, why the fuck haven't one of you created that channel? Furry editing. It's got to be out there. Go do it.
It's out there.
He's checking.
Rule 34, it's
Real
out there.
34. Real 34. If you're riding in a chicken suit, the same thing goes. I just, I don't know how how you get the keys to work. Jared says I'm working on getting my words back up almost to 2K a day and it was a dino suit. Don't be a fur supremacist. What?
Now, I'm afraid this is the moment we have to educate poor JR.
What?
Chickens are dinosaurs, just like dinosaurs are dinosaurs. So, chickens don't have fur, neither do dinosaurs. So, this has nothing to be with a fur supremacist.
Well, this is true. Chickens just happen to have feathers. We go with the chicken suit because Terry and I, back when we were kids, it was about the chicken. Go see Foghorn Leghorn, go see a number of mascots and everything else. It was the chicken. And if you watch Family Guy,
say there, my boy.
still the chicken. Still the chicken. Guy in a chicken suit gave me a bad coupon. And they end up trying to kill each other. It's awesome. Oh, I was going to say, um, speaking of revision, I'll do a little aside here. Spoiler alert or fair, whatever you want to call it. My wife does work for Apple. She was at home to watch the WWDC thing, and I was ignoring it because I had work to do. And then finally, she texts me and says, "Oh, they're doing the VR shit." So I went in there and watched the VR shit. And they showed a scene where people have the goggles on or whatever, and they're typing in space in what do they call it? Spatial reality. They're typing in spatial reality. The person goes up there with their hands, literally does this, shit, and the keyboard just kind of appears and folds out, and they're typing in the air. I don't think that's going to work for me without severe training. And I'm not really sure I would even ever want to do that.
I want to see one of those people do that. They do this and they're typing that, like, start hitting this thing. Damn it, the S key is stuck.
S key's stuck. Anyway, I brought that up because we were talking about this during the pre-show. Terry asked my opinion on it, which was kind of odd, but also kind of cool. But the keyboard.
Actually, I did not ask your opinion. I mocked it, and you felt the need to respond.
I didn't. You didn't. You mocked what you thought my opinion would be.
No, I didn't mock your opinion. I mocked the product.
Oh, you mocked the product. How dare you mock the product?
I know.
Oh, anyway, if you haven't, go check that out. I'm not advertising for Apple, and I don't make any money from them. My wife just gets paid because she works for them. Go check out what their idea of virtual reality is. Very different from the bullshit Zuckerberg has been pushing, and much more the way I imagined cyberspace to work. Much more like I imagined cyberspace really would work, as opposed to how
I
these
could,
Zuckers
geez, I could see this now. You put on your VR goggles and you're going down the street, and it's pointing out which there's a restaurant over here, there's this thing over there. And it's all covered with ads everywhere.
That's my fear, but I mean, we already saw that. It was an altered carbon, right? And then they said to slap him with a thingy that made all the ads go away. Basically, you're going to have a spam blocker for your fucking Google, whatever. Your Google Glass, your whatever Amazon's making, and then Apple's thingy. Anyway, I thought it was interesting because I just wanted to say that the presentation's, standard bullshit. But if you think about what they're presenting and how the goggles work, that was much more close to how I envision cyberspace working in real life. I'm just saying. So it was interesting. If you're a sci-fi person, I think you need to go look at that. And I'm certainly not saying that it'll be a success. It'll be what it is. If you go look at the hardware specs, it's absolutely amazing. I doubt anybody will buy it, except for the high-end crazies. But you know what? Nobody will buy the iWatch. Nobody will buy the iPhone except the high-end crazies, and that's how it started. I think this may be one crazy too far, but we'll see. I've been wrong about it every time, so probably don't listen to me. Anyway, if you want to see, if you're thinking about William Gibson and Bruce Sterling's visions of cyberspace, it is a rather interesting look at it. So we'll just leave it at that. But I can't imagine trying to do revision while typing on nothing. And I guarantee you I would get used to it in no time.
Chat
But it just
GPT,
sounds
make
bad.
my writing better.
You're really going to bring up that bullshit?
Because people are already started about using it to refine your writing. It's already that conversation is happening.
Antoine says I was thinking Futurama. Attack of the Ads. Yeah, that one too. Attack of the Ads. Exactly. Go look at that. It's pretty good stuff.
They had that lawyer that produced all of his briefs for a case using Chat GPT, and it was all made up.
Yeah, that was the client who did that to give the lawyer the briefs for the lawyer to file. That's even dumber. It's even dumber than it looks. It's absolutely so stupid. And I can't believe the law firm didn't get like disbarred. To be honest, it's it's getting pretty fucking of those of us who use Stack Overflow have been paying attention to something. The a large group of it's like 10 to 15% of Stack Overflow's moderators quit on Friday or Saturday, well, actually Thursday or Friday, because there was a new policy in place telling them that they are not allowed to remove AI generated content on the site. They're allowed to remove human created content on the site, but they're not allowed to remove AI generated content on the site.
So what's the reasoning there?
The reasoning there is they don't think that the tools are good enough to catch it, and that it's being too bad on the portions of ChatGPT generated stuff that's good. We all know it's all going to Copilot in Microsoft's hands because that's what's going on with GitHub. So anyway, it's horrific. It just keeps getting worse every time I turn around. There's just more fucking assholes being fucking assholes so they can ride hype and make money. So there we go. Fuckers did it with crypto. Fuckers did it with the .coms. Fuckers did it with Web3. They're going to do it with this horse shit. It's just been my experience as a 33 years as a software person. So, like I know anything. That notwithstanding, it does bring an interesting question about your stuff. The dictation.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it going to be before the software actually exists on your phone to do all of this?
It already does.
I mean, to the point where it's going to be using machine learning and algorithms like that, so you don't have to put it through Grammarly. It's just automatically doing it on the phone as you're doing Dragon.
The problem is with the current iteration of Dragon that it's not smart enough to realize contextually what you're doing since the sentence isn't done yet. You're still busy reading it. You're
Right.
telling it what you want to do.
Right.
You're at the beginning of the sentence, so it's putting what you're saying on the screen. It doesn't know what that end of the sentence is going to look like.
Now, here's where I say, no, Terry, this is not how it works. Veronica told us how it works.
Oh, well, as long as Veronica said.
You write your dribble. You
Dribble is what you meant, not dribble.
Dribble. With you at your age, it could be either. Anyway, you proceed with your bullshit speaking, and you get done with a sentence or two, and then the machine learning algorithm comes back behind you and cleans up.
Now, if that was the case, I would be perfectly happy with that, as long as I could control what it's cleaning. See, the problem is when I run Grammarly, I'm interested in the parts
that are supposedly bad, the parts that it wants to change.
No, it wants to change a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm interested in it changing is spelling and commas and the things that all fall into one particular section. I look at everything it suggests, but almost everything else other than that one section is 90% rejected.
Do you know what we call that? Do you know what I call that?
What do you call that?
I call that a supervised LLM.
I buy that.
A supervised machine learning algorithm. Basically, you let the thing go do what it does, You got to check it because it's not capable of doing the stuff. It needs to be told. Somebody was telling a story about Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere,
Mm-hmm.
the American Arc. Did you post that?
I may have shared
You
it.
posted that? I
I
can't
may have
remember.
shared it in some place, but yeah, changing flat to apartment, did a global search and replace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a global search and
He said
replace on
apartmently.
Apartmently. Yes. It was pretty bad. Anyway, and that wasn't the only example. They went in there and they nuked a lot of the British spelling and finding a replace. Fortunately, it only came out in ARC, so they had a chance to fix it before it went to actual publication. But that's the risk you have. Just like doing find and replace in code globally can be very dangerous. So yeah, you have to be careful with any of the tools you use because they are just as likely to eat your shit as help you make it less shitty.
I use Grammarly in a very controlled manner. I know exactly what I want it to be looking for. I know which parts of it are the ones that I'm more inclined to accept and which parts I'm more likely to reject. And so when I'm going through the sections where I'm more likely to reject something, the immediate response is click the reject button, unless it's something that I think makes sense. Whereas if I'm looking at the commas or things along those lines, I'm more likely to click accept, unless it's the rare thing that I disagree with.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I work with Severed as well. They send me the edits and it's like agree or disagree. That's basically what it comes down to. Either accept the changes or don't.
Let me bring up on
And
my
my line.
screen here a chapter real quick. We'll see if I can share the screen here because since we're doing video and all.
Xander says so interested in seeing what happens with it. Although Google or excuse me, he's talking about the Apple stuff. Though not expecting much more than maybe some interesting videos and articles. If you watch the WWDC, they seem to suggest that it will be custom fitted to you. As in, they will fit it to your freaking head personally. So I don't think it's quite going to have that particular issue. I don't know that you're going to be able to play with it at all
Okay.
in the Apple Store or anywhere else. I don't know how they're going to do that. I really don't. We'll have a year to find out. It's not on sale.
I'm going to go ahead and share the
cost that in a
screen.
year.
Let's
no idea.
see. Present.
Uh-oh.
Share screen.
Oh, this is going to go terrible.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything. Your computer could catch fire and we all die.
I think I selected the right one. We'll see. What do you see on the screen?
I see Admiral Jared Mertz looked around and flogged his bridge. I'm not wearing my glasses.
Now, you'll see at the top of this here, it's got, you can look at all issues, correctness, clarity, engagement, delivery. Correctness is the one that I care about. Things like it wants to add a comma in front of this and. Most of this ends up being comma, or it may complain about spelling and capitalization. That type of thing is something that I'm interested in. Like here we go, it wants to add a hyphen. Many of these things are ones that I want. I don't care about being a sentence fragment, but 90% of the correctness is something that I'm probably going to end up accepting. If I go to clarity, 90% of it is going to be things that I'm not going to accept. It wants to change a number of to several, some, or many. And maybe an occasional one I'll do. Other ones here, it wants to remove and so the with comma the. I don't know. I'd have to read it and see what I wanted to do. Things along those lines. In excess of, more than, or over. It wants to change things that I'm more inclined to reject it. Engagement is like the same way. It wants to pick some words and then change it to other words. I'm more than likely going to reject it. But I have to see what they want to suggest. It's almost always not what I'm interested in. And delivery is also usually just a word where it wants to change a word. And I'm not interested in that either. But out of this chapter of 3,092 words, I have 161 suggestions. I'll go through and look at every single one of them, but half of them are things I'm most likely going to accept, and the rest are most likely going to get rejected. So let's see. Stop sharing. There we go.
First
That
time I've
should be
seen Grammarly. Odd.
It's a useful program for what I want to do. The editor, when I send it in, says that I have some of the cleanest stuff that she sees coming in because I'm fixing the commas. I'm fixing it finds the things that I've misspelled. And for that purposes, I like Grammarly. But I don't accept what it says without a grain of salt. I need to look at everything it suggests.
You mean with a grain of salt?
I've learned over long habit what things I should be caring about. And it's just a tool to use to make my writing a little bit better before the editor gets a chance to go over it.
I can't remember if it was Trident or Destruction, but I got the edit sheet back from Severed, and it had like 2,000 changes. And I went, oh, fuck. Turns out, most of them are things like G-R-E-Y as opposed to G-R-A-Y. I like the E-Y better. I don't know why. It just always comes out in my head that way.
British versus American. You got to pick
Yeah.
one.
I did.
I did. There are times
and
where
I was told no.
There are times where I pick the British spelling because I like it better. And I've went with the editor on that, and I was like, nope, I'm keeping this. And they're like, okay.
You're an idiot. Okay.
No, I don't get a lot of argument from the editor.
Yeah, I know. But it's like gray, and then there was one hyphen they wanted on this one pair of words, which is all over the goddamn place in the book. You know, it's a name. It's a name. And there was another name that she wanted a hyphen in. It's like, holy shit. But those are easy, right? It's like, okay, well, accept everything where it's the goddamn hyphen. I got no problem with that. You know, accept everything where there's this, you know, diacritical on this word because I screwed it up, you know, whatever it is. And then suddenly you get down to the stuff that's just the really, really, really garbagey cosmetic stuff. You forgot a word here, or which is not garbagey cosmetic, but then you get to the stuff where you forgot a word or you used the wrong word here.
I run into missing words a fair chunk.
Yeah.
Dragon will occasionally not pick up a word that I said, and I won't see it when I'm reading because my eyes just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, your eyes do. I mean, everybody's seen those little memes on Facebook and Twitter or whatever the fuck. Probably even go back to MySpace where they show you the sentence, but it's missing words, and you don't even realize it's missing words most of the time because your brain just automatically fills it in. Which is why they say like he said, she said, and those markers like that disappear after a while because the readers just skip them. Just completely skip them unless it's a scene with a lot of different characters, and then they have to really be careful about who said what. But anyway, those are the kind of things you want an editor for, and those are the kinds of things that an editor can look at and go, okay, well, by the way, you used it this way in this last book, therefore you should use it this way. I went back and I checked the last 4 books. Dummy, you did it this way. Don't do it that way in this book. It's like stuff like that. That's why they get paid. That's why they're useful. That's why they're wonderful. I love editors. They make us look good. They sometimes even keep us from making really bad decisions. What have you done with the rest of that cat's tail?
Mr. Bear was born with a little stub tail. Aww. That's all he's ever had.
Aw, poor bear.
That's why he got named Bear, because as a kitten he looked like a little bear.
Well, we've been going at this for 49 minutes, folks. Why don't you tell us what the hell? I planned to have more for this show, but didn't. Well, actually, I planned to have more for next week's show, but then next week's show became this week's show because this week's show became next week's show. If that makes any sense. Did I even say a goddamn word that just made sense?
You're a writer. You use them words good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I do. So many shows. Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you serious? JR says, what have you changed since you started writing to streamline the process?
I've tried a lot of things to streamline the process, and I've come to the conclusion that at a certain point, when you've got enough experience writing, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. What time you save doing one thing by the change, you end up adding to a different part of the writing.
Yeah, but my bank account needs more money, so keep doing that. Keep robbing that Peter guy.
I don't see what that has to do with anything as far as time.
You said robbing Peter to pay Paul. Hand me that shit over here. I need it.
All right, I'll give you like 20 seconds. There you go.
20.
We're talking about time.
I understand that. But you said you were going to pay me.
In time. But in any case, what he's talking about there, if I find a way to save a little bit of time on the front end, it invariably ends up adding time to the back end. So I stopped. I found what's comfortable for me, and that's what I'm doing from now on.
I think the biggest deal that has streamlined the process is going back and cycling a little bit, if nothing, over the plot, if not the words themselves. Because I think that ends up saving me some more time, but it also can lead to me hitting a wall. And I've taken some spectacular left turns over that. Xander says, will you all consider doing another brainstorming a book episode? It's been a while since I've seen a brainstorm focus episode. We have actually been talking about that for weeks and weeks and weeks.
We need to find a willing victim to go ahead and use that with.
We haven't been able to do that. Well, we haven't done it since I left Facebook. So, because we'd have to have polls and all other shit.
See, Grammarly would catch this shit right here. JR asks, how often does Terry get beaten by Cheney? I'm picturing weekly whippings to get him cranking out more words. And he used weekly as in Weakly.
Are you saying
so that's saying soft
Cheney?
Whips, you know?
Are you saying Cheney can't actually whip? He's weekly whipping?
I think that may be what he's saying. You know, that's pretty
may
awful.
Take issue with that he wields his cat of nine tails with little limpy. I think that's not going to go over well.
JR says, well, he was in the Air Force.
Oh, shit. Here we go. YouTube has polls, seeing you as those features, and as we as subscribers to see your poll and vote on it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I keep forgetting a lot of the stuff that they used to do on Facebook, I can do on YouTube. I keep forgetting that. Discord polls, too. Yeah. Need to get our Discord link up. I need to do more of their website again.
We need to get volunteers first, so you need to have a way of, polling to get some volunteers.
Well, last time what we did...
And it can't be JR because he's never going to take any of our advice anyway.
If I remember what we had last time is we had a thread everybody could comment on to leave their idea, and then we took the best ideas that we thought were in the mix, and then we basically put them into a vote. So we took the top ones and put like 5 of them into a vote, and that was how it worked. So if I can just figure out the logistics of that, we can make this happen. You third the whipping. Discord polls too. Yeah, just need to get more people on it.
Yeah, we'll do one in the relatively near future.
Chair says, look, the last time I listened to Terry's advice, I wrote some Chuck Tingle pen name stuff that earned me nothing.
That's not because you followed my advice. That's because you're about as erotic as a stick-it note.
I blame it on poor execution. And you're a little young to be suffering that particular failure. I would see a urologist about that.
Yeah, your erotica actually sent the person to the urologist rather than, somewhere else. That's where you went wrong.
If you like falling asleep while masturbating.
Ow. Ow.
Oh, shit. Okay, sorry. There are people who lust after paper, so take that. Yeah, but you're talking about a narrow niche there, Bubba. It's it's great that you've got
that paper cut. Oh, it's so exciting.
Oh, look at the grain. Look at the grain of this paper. Oh my God, the grain.
There are plenty of people making good bank on erotica.
Oh,
if you're not making bank on erotica, you might be doing something wrong. And maybe you're not the right writing style to succeed in that genre with the way you're presenting it.
Yeah, maybe it's just not your thing. I
Maybe you should
can
write
write.
a erotica series called Rule 34 where you just explore the weirdest stuff you can find on the internet.
No, I liked where we were going with the IT stuff. I think that was much better. I think if that was done well, it would earn fucking bank. It really would. There'd be IT managers sitting there going, "Oh, oh, he's so skilled and he's cheap. Oh my god, be awesome." I really need to stop. College rule paper. Science, we've gone way too far, or maybe it's just me after all.
Maybe that's his problem. He's writing what was it, the big wide ones back in the day when you were in young. There was a specific Big Chief. Big
What
Chief.
the fuck are you talking about?
His erotica using paper. He's writing Big Chief spread when he should be writing College Rule.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, I'll buy that for $1. Maybe it's because all his maybe he's writing with the big yellow pencils. Remember those? This never made any sense to me. All right, little kid, 3, 4 years old, you're trying to learn how to write, and they give you this goddamn pencil that is like this thick. It looks like a rod that belongs in a nuclear fucking reactor, and you're supposed to write with this thing.
Well, you know why that is, right?
No.
Kids don't have the same at that age don't have the same fine motor control that we do.
And that was better?
If you give them the small pencil, they'll be even more out of control than they already are.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Here you go, Paul.
She put on her Cat 5 and smiled. That's Monday. How goes my writing? It sucks. And when do I get the rights back to all of your stuff you've been waiting on? I have the black back. Derelict I will not get back for a long time. And I'm cool with that. Totally cool with that. But I've got everything else going. I just need to get back on the 2 books I'm writing. But Twisted Pair. There we go. There we go.
Sounds like an anime right there.
Well, last week Veronica was giving all hers, so now here we go. It was giving all phrasing again. Really?
There's an anime called Dirty Pair, I think it is.
Dirty Pair?
I think that's what it was. I haven't seen it, but apparently they're very violent.
Nah, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'll just let that go. Dirty Pair is a classic. Read this IT erotica. Paul the sexy-ish librarian. Yes, but my tongue got a workout from licking all those stamps all day.
Have you ever gotten a paper cut on your tongue doing that? Allow me to assure you, that hurts.
Yeah, that's awful. That is an awful experience.
My mother used to connect the S&H green stamps.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you talked about that before. Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. And the taste. Ah.
Right as we were going to talk about the NC-17 deck. That's a good place to bring the segue and say, if you have a comment about this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me at Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. You can find us on Facebook, the listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry mangles all the madness. You can see us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast. And if you do, please be sure and like and subscribe so we can get more people on here. And so you'll know whenever we get live. I was doing so well. You'll know when we go live. There. In case we do something else. Oh, you know what? We'll answer that question in 1 second. If you want to support the show and help us pay our bills, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to the NC-17 deck next week.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Just so you know, we suggest no one under 21 attend. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Tony L. Joy, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. Xander asks, Paul, if your tendency for monsters and horror and how you enjoy sci-fi so much, have you considered writing a horror mecha series where the mecha are flesh robots? I have a book coming out fourth quarter that I really think you're gonna like. Really think you're gonna
It's
like.
like Dead Mech.
No, no, fuck that.
That
we're,
your
we're
arch nemesis wrote.
Oh, that's a good series. It is a good series. I'm not gonna. I'll give Jake Bible shit every day for being Jake Bible. You never hear me diss his series or his stories. And Dead Mech's a good one. Dead Mech's a really good one. But no, that's not. That's not what I'm thinking. Or Attack on Titan. Oh God, Jr. You sick bastard. Pregnant women or flesh mech suits driven by a human. Wow. Anyway, we have one more thing we have to do before we get out of here, which is to admit that we have a serious problem with caffeine, and we get ours from corpsecoffee.com. Visit corpsecoffee.com, check out their array of coffees, boutique teas, and wonderfully weird webcomic, and tell them DRS sent you. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. Jared says that was for you, V, in the car, if she's still listening.
That's okay. I'm sure she'll have something to say next week.
Oh, really? You think?
I think she might.
Patrons, I'll have a link for you in just a minute. I promise. I will. With that, we're going to get out of here because I need to go do something real fast. So we actually have people at the show as opposed to just talking to ourselves. So with that, we are going to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye-bye.
And don't